Andrew Jackson was the 7th President of the United States from 1829 to 1837. Before he was president, Andrew Jackson was a major general for the United States Army and was a hero in the War of 1812. His troops called him Old Hickory because he was as tough as hickory wood, sometimes even tougher. Andrew Jackson was known for his temper and aggressiveness. He challenged his enemies to duels and got shot 3 times. Andrew Jackson ran for president in 1828 against
Jon Quincy Adams.
This election was the dirtiest campaign in U.S. history. The candidates insulted each other on a personal level and engaged in mudslinging.
You cruel and ignorant man, you're unfit to be president.
Oh yeah? Well, you're a Sabbath breaker. Andrew Jackson won the election. This is because most of Jon Quincy Adams' votes came from rich businessmen, but Jackson's came from most of the general population. Over 10,000 people came to Washington, D.C. to watch the inauguration of Andrew Jackson. The crowd that followed Jackson into the White House nearly turned into a riot. Jackson had to escape out a back door. In 1828, Congress passed laws that raised tariffs on imported goods. This would hopefully allow American manufacturers to outsell foreign competitors. South Carolina thought that these tariffs were unconstitutional, so they threatened to secede. Jackson was outraged and passed a law that allowed him to use military force to collect tariffs if needed.
We ain't giving y'all those tariffs. We seceding.
Why, you little...
What? No. I shouldn't have had that second helping of biscuits and gravy.
The National Bank was due for renewal in 1836, but Henry Clay, who planned to run against Jackson in the next election, pushed a bill to Congress to renew it 4 years early. Jackson thought that the National Bank was unconstitutional and only benefited Eastern businessmen, and not farmers in the West, so he vetoed the bill. Jackson then ordered the Secretary of Treasury to move all the money from the National Bank and put it in smaller state banks. Settlers have been coming into conflict with the American Indians since they started colonizing America. The United States government tried to settle these conflicts by making treaties to let the Indians keep their land, but the Indians were still being pushed off their land. In 1830, Congress passed the Indian Removal Act, which was urged on by President Jackson. The Indians were moved from their lands to reservations in the West. Groups of Indians that did not want to go were forced by the military to move west. Some of them had to go on long, hard journeys across the United States. This was nicknamed the Trail of Tears. Jackson was the first president to almost be assassinated. The assassin's gun didn't go off, so Jackson grabbed a cane and beat him up.
How dare you think you're gonna assassinate me? I'm gonna beat you up, you little...
Andrew Jackson died on June 8, 1845, at the age of 78. He died from lead poisoning caused by 2 bullets that had been lodged in his chest for years.